Hey guys, this is Riley coming back with another English vlog, and this week I'm doing this one on Catcher in the Rye for you guys by J.D. Salinger. It's quite a good book. I really enjoyed it myself. I really enjoyed reading it. It was lots of fun. But now let's jump right on into this. To start, the book is set in the 1950s. The main character and narrator, Holden Caulfield, is very distant from society, and he sees himself as being not in the right place and not really fit in. He gets kicked out of Pensy Prep, the fourth school that he's been kicked out of so far, for poor academics at the beginning of the story. This is really what kicks off all of the madman stuff that he might say. Um, with this being said, he takes a train to New York to get his mind off of things and do things. He comes through a number of encounters that really show who he is and his personality, and yeah, and all of that ends up getting him locked up in a medical facility or a psychiatric facility where he is then writing this book, which is kind of connected from the end and the beginning, like the last chapter and the first chapter. So, what I like about Holden Caulfield, his character and his traits, I like that he cares very deeply about lots of things. For instance, his sister Phoebe, he really cares about her, and when she finds out that he got kicked out of school again and she's disappointed in him, he really takes that to heart and he's really hurt by that, which shows that he really cares about Phoebe. Um, Another thing he really cares about, or another character I should say, is Jane, which is an old playmate that he used to have, that he used to play checkers with. Um, when he finds out that Stradlater asked her on a date, he's mad and upset. And then when he finds out that all they did was stay in his, or when Stradlater says that all they did was stay in the car, he's really upset and he picks a fight with Stradlater and gets knocked out because of it. Um, Another thing he really cares about is the old stuff in the museum that doesn't change. I really like that because in a world that's always changing, everything's going to be left behind, and only that stays the same. And I think that's pretty cool. Another thing I like is about him is that he's really easy to relate with from a teenager's perspective. He's really stuck in between life as a child and as an adult, and it makes it a very interesting, intriguing book to read. What I don't like about Holden Caulfield is that he himself is phony. Throughout the book, he judges all of the adults and most of the people around him as being phony and not being who they actually are. But throughout the book, he shows himself to actually be phony himself. One instance of this is that he says he's not Catholic multiple times. Once with Ackley, when he asks if he can join a monastery without being Catholic, but then we find him praying in other parts of the book. Um, Another thing to support this is that when on the train, he's talking with one of his classmates' parents. He makes up blatant lies to her and just laughs about it. And this just shows that he doesn't really care about the truth as much as he claims to care about the truth. Another thing I don't like about Holden Caulfield is that um, he thinks that life is so bad and he feels like he's so in such a bad place, but he's so privileged and has so much money and doesn't do anything with it. Like, he has so much potential that he doesn't use, and he doesn't seem to care at all, where so many people are in worse situations than him and would be dying to have half the opportunities he has. What I connect with Holden is how he sees the people around him as being phony and fake and putting on an act around people to make themselves seem like people they aren't, and using money to portray themselves as better people even when they might not be good people. They could be terrible people. Another thing I relate with is how Holden doesn't apply himself. He is really smart and he shows his intelligence throughout the book, and his history teacher notes that and says it, but he still just doesn't apply himself. And another thing that I connect with Holden is how indecisive he is, how he's just not sure about the world, and he doesn't know how to take it, and he doesn't really know anything really. He's not sure what's going on in his world. A piece of media I think relates to The Catcher in the Rye is Teenager by My Chemical Romance. A quote I think really relates to the book is, "They're gonna clean up your looks with all the lies in the book." This relates because of how society wants to change Holden with all of this stuff that he sees as being phony and fake, whereas he just wants to do himself and be the catcher in the rye and do his own thing. Another quote that relates is, "They're gonna rip up your hearts, your aspirations to shreds," or "they're gonna rip up your heads, your aspirations to shreds." This relates because all of the adults in Holden's life kind of tell him that he's not doing the right thing and he's not on the right path and this is what he should be doing, but that's what he wants to do and he's still going to seek it out either way. It's just making him feel worse about what he wants to do. And then the final one I have is, "You're never going to fit in much, kid." And this really relates to Holden and how he sees himself not fitting in, even though he really isn't a weird person. He's pretty normal in the way that he feels. He just sees himself as being so outside of the bubble and out of everything. If Holden was here in our day and age, I think the main thing he would criticize is our social media and how locked in people are with it and how it's people's lives. It's their whole life is how they're seen on social media. Nothing else matters, even though they're nothing like that in real life. And it's just no connection between the two whatsoever. With social media, you can create a whole new persona that's nothing like you. You can Photoshop pictures and change everything. And now, in this day and age, our version of reality is really becoming fake. A piece of advice I have for Holden Caulfield is that you really need to keep your head up. You've only been through half your life, and you still have a whole nother half that you've barely even begun to explore. And even though it seems like everything's wrong and not going the way you want it to, and it's not going to turn out right, soon enough you'll understand that you're a lot better off than you think you are, and you have a lot more opportunities to do whatever you want than what you think. In conclusion, I really found that Catcher in the Rye was a good book. I really enjoyed reading it a lot, and everything about it was just great. I think that this book is really great for teenagers, people in this transitionary stages, and showing them that they're not the only ones who think that everything in life is going wrong. It's kind of everyone, and it's normal to have nothing really figured out at this point and not sure of where you're going in life. So I think it'll really help people of that age kind of be more okay with it in taking their steps into adulthood. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe down below.